1964. Bruce Lee fights the most important match of his life. No cameras, no audience, just witnesses. If he loses, his career is over. If he wins, he becomes a legend. Hollywood buried this story for 50 years. Until now. This isn't about movies. This isn't about Enter the Dragon or Fist of Fury. This is about a fight that happened in a back room in Oakland, California. A fight that lasted less than 3 minutes but changed martial arts forever. Because here's what they don't tell you. Bruce Lee almost never became Bruce Lee. There was a moment when traditional kung fu masters tried to stop him, tried to destroy his career before it started, tried to make sure the world never learned what he knew. And Bruce had to fight, literally fight for the right to teach martial arts to non-Chinese people. One fight, winner takes everything, loser disappears into history. This is the story of the fight that Hollywood doesn't want you to know about. The fight that proved Bruce Lee wasn't just an actor playing a tough guy. He was the real thing, and he had enemies who wanted him silenced. Get ready, because what you're about to hear will change everything you thought you knew about Bruce Lee. Let's go back to 1964. Bruce Lee is 24 years old, living in Oakland, California. He's not famous yet, not a movie star, not a legend. He's just a young martial arts instructor running a small school called the Junfan Kung Fu Institute. But Bruce is doing something revolutionary and dangerous. He's teaching Kung Fu to anyone who wants to learn. White students, black students. It doesn't matter. If you want to learn, Bruce will teach you. This might not sound controversial now, but in 1964, it's a massive betrayal. Traditional Chinese martial arts have been kept secret for centuries. Masters only teach Chinese students. The techniques, the philosophy, the secrets, they're supposed to stay within the Chinese community. Bruce doesn't care about these rules. He believes martial arts should be available to everyone. He says things like, "Styles separate men. We should study all styles and take what's useful." The traditional Kung Fu masters in San Francisco's Chinatown are furious. They call Bruce a traitor. They say he's selling out Chinese culture for American money. They warn him to stop teaching non-Chinese students. Bruce refuses, so the masters make a decision. They're going to send someone to shut Bruce down, not with words, with fists. They choose a Kung Fu master named Wong Jackman. Now there's debate about who Wong Jackman really was. Some say he was one of the top martial artists in San Francisco. Others say he was just a representative of the traditional schools. But everyone agrees on one thing. He was sent to Oakland with a specific mission: challenge Bruce Lee to a fight. If Bruce loses, he must close his school and stop teaching non-Chinese students. If Bruce refuses to fight, he's a coward and his reputation is destroyed anyway. It's a trap, a no-win situation. But Bruce accepts the challenge immediately. The date is set, late 1964. The exact date is disputed. Some say October, others December. The location, Bruce's school in Oakland. The rules, no rules. A real fight, no referees, no rounds. Fight until someone quits or can't continue. Bruce has everything to lose. His school, his reputation, his dream of spreading martial arts to the world. But he's confident, because Bruce has been preparing for this his entire life. To understand why this fight matters, you need to understand who Bruce Lee really was. Bruce was born in San Francisco in 1940, but raised in Hong Kong. As a teenager, he was a street fighter. Not movie fighting, real fighting. He got into so much trouble that his parents worried he'd end up dead or in prison. So at age 13, Bruce's father enrolled him in Wing Chun Kung Fu under the legendary master Ip Man. And Bruce became obsessed. He trained constantly, practiced moves thousands of times until they became instinct, studied fighting the way scientists study physics. But even in Hong Kong, Bruce was controversial because he got into a fight with a British kid, and the kid's family had connections to the Hong Kong police. Bruce's mother feared he'd be arrested or killed by gang members seeking revenge. So in 1959, at age 18, Bruce was sent back to America. He arrived in San Francisco with $100 in his pocket and a dream to teach martial arts. He worked as a dishwasher, lived in tiny apartments, gave martial arts demonstrations at street fairs and community centers. Slowly built a reputation. In Seattle, Bruce enrolled in the University of Washington to study philosophy, but he spent more time training and teaching than studying. He opened his first official school and started developing his own fighting philosophy, something he would later call Jeet Kune Do, the way of the intercepting fist. Bruce's philosophy was radical. Traditional martial arts are too rigid, too focused on forms and kata and looking pretty. Real fighting is messy, fast, adaptive. You should take techniques from boxing, fencing, wrestling, whatever works. Throw away what doesn't work. This made traditional masters hate him even more, because Bruce was saying their ancient techniques were obsolete, that centuries of tradition meant nothing if it didn't work in a real fight. When Bruce moved to Oakland and opened his Junfan school, he started attracting serious students. One of them was a judoka named Wally J. Another was a boxer. Bruce would spar with them, test his techniques against different styles, and he kept teaching non-Chinese students, more and more of them. He even started dating a white woman, Linda Emery, who would become his wife. To the traditional Chinese community, Bruce was committing cultural treason. He was dating outside his race, teaching outsiders their secrets, and claiming he knew better than masters who'd trained for 50 years. So when Wang Jack Man showed up at Bruce's school with several witnesses from the Chinese martial arts community, everyone knew what this really was: a trial. Bruce Lee on trial for the crime of innovation. The day of the fight. Bruce's school is small, maybe 1,500 square feet. There's no ring, no mats, just a wooden floor and some training equipment pushed to the sides. Wang Jack Man arrives with witnesses, other kung fu instructors from San Francisco. They're there to verify that if Bruce loses, he'll honor the agreement and close his school. Bruce has witnesses too. His wife Linda is there, his student James Yim Lee, a few other students. Everyone understands this isn't a friendly sparring match. This is real. What happens next is disputed, because no cameras recorded it. No official records exist. We only have eyewitness accounts, and they contradict each other. Here's what we know for certain. The fight starts. Wang Jack Man takes a traditional kung fu stance. Bruce takes his own modified stance, more like a boxer's stance, but with different hand positioning. They circle each other. Then Bruce attacks. According to Linda Lee and Bruce's students, the fight is over in less than 3 minutes. Bruce rushes forward with a straight punch, his signature move. Wang tries to block, but Bruce is too fast. Bruce hits him multiple times, punches to the face and body. Wang backs up, trying to create distance. Bruce chases him around the room. Wang is retreating, not fighting back effectively. Bruce is relentless. He's hitting Wang at will. Wang tries to escape, but there's nowhere to go in the small room. Finally, Wang Jack Man either quits or is about to be seriously hurt. The witnesses from the Chinese community pull them apart. Wang and his group leave quickly, humiliated. But here's where it gets interesting. Wang Jack Man tells a different story. Years later, he claims the fight lasted much longer, 15 to 20 minutes, that he was winning, that Bruce pulled his hair and used dirty tactics, that it was a draw. So who's telling the truth? The evidence suggests Bruce won decisively, because after the fight, Wang Jack Man never challenges Bruce again. The traditional schools stop demanding Bruce close his school. They leave him alone. If Wang had won or even fought to a draw, they would have pressed their advantage. But there's something else. Something Bruce himself admitted. After the fight, Bruce was disappointed. Not because he lost, he won, but because it took him almost 3 minutes to finish an opponent who wasn't a world-class fighter. Bruce said, "I should have been able to end that fight in 30 seconds. The fact that it took 3 minutes means I'm not good enough yet." This is Bruce Lee's genius. Most people who win a fight celebrate. Bruce analyzes what went wrong. He realizes he got tired chasing Wang around the room, that his cardio wasn't good enough, that his kicks were too slow and too telegraphed to be useful in a real fight. So Bruce revolutionizes his training. He starts doing intensive cardio running, jumping rope, swimming. He strips away fancy kicks that look good, but don't work in real combat. He develops his famous 1-inch punch and his lightning-fast straight lead. The fight with Wang Jack Man doesn't make Bruce famous, but it makes him better, sharper, more focused. It transforms him from a good martial artist into something else entirely. Now here's the question. If this fight was so important, why doesn't anyone know about it? because Hollywood buried it. When Bruce finally became famous in the early 1970s, the film studios wanted him to be a mysterious, almost mythical figure. They didn't want stories about real street fights. They wanted the legend, not the reality. And the traditional Chinese martial arts community? They definitely didn't want this story spreading. It proved that their ancient superior techniques lost to Bruce's pragmatic modern approach. It proved that tradition doesn't beat innovation. For decades, this fight existed only as rumors, whispers in martial arts circles. Linda Lee would occasionally mention it in interviews, but without details. Bruce's students knew about it, but were told to keep quiet. It wasn't until the 2000s, almost 30 years after Bruce's death, that researchers started piecing together what really happened. Interviewing witnesses, comparing accounts, building the real story. And even now, there's deliberate misinformation. Some martial arts schools still teach that Wong Jack Man won or that the fight was a draw. Because admitting the truth means admitting that everything they believed about traditional martial arts was wrong. But here's what we know beyond doubt. After that fight, Bruce Lee's reputation among actual fighters, not movie audiences, but real martial artists, became legendary. People who witnessed the fight spread the word. This 24-year-old Chinese guy just destroyed a traditional master using unorthodox techniques. Word reached Hollywood. In 1966, Bruce was invited to audition for a TV show called The Green Hornet. He got the role of Kato, a sidekick character, who was supposed to be background flavor. But Bruce made Kato the star. His fight scenes were so fast, so real, that cameras couldn't capture them properly. They had to ask Bruce to slow down because his movements were blurring on film. The Green Hornet only lasted one season, but Bruce became famous in the martial arts world. People started calling him to give private lessons. Steve McQueen became his student, James Coburn, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. Bruce pitched an idea for a TV show about a Shaolin monk wandering the American West, using martial arts to help people. The studios loved it, but they didn't want Bruce as the star. They gave the role to a white actor named David Carradine. The show was called Kung Fu. It ran for 3 seasons and made millions. Bruce got nothing. That rejection destroyed Bruce. Not because he wanted fame, though he did, but because he'd proven himself. He'd fought for the right to teach. He'd revolutionized martial arts. He'd beaten traditional masters. And Hollywood still didn't think an Asian man could be the lead in an American TV show. So Bruce made a decision. If America won't make him a star, he'll become a star somewhere else. He went back to Hong Kong in 1971, and he made a movie called The Big Boss on a tiny budget with a small production company called Golden Harvest. The movie was simple. Bruce plays a factory worker who discovers his bosses are drug dealers. He fights them. A lot of people die. Bruce wins. The Big Boss broke every box office record in Hong Kong. People lined up around blocks to see it. They'd never seen fighting like this on screen. Fast, brutal, real. Bruce made 3 more movies in quick succession. Fist of Fury, Way of the Dragon, Enter the Dragon, each one bigger than the last. Enter the Dragon was a co-production with Hollywood. Warner Brothers invested real money. They shot it properly, with good equipment and a real budget. And when it was released in 1973, it made over $400 million worldwide. Bruce Lee became the biggest action star on the planet. Hollywood, the industry that rejected him, was now desperate to work with him. But Bruce died before he could enjoy his triumph. July 20th, 1973. Brain swelling, dead at 32 years old. Some people believe Hollywood had him killed because he was too powerful, too dangerous. Others think Chinese triads killed him for refusing to work with them. Most likely, Bruce worked himself to death training too hard, sleeping too little, taking painkillers to mask injuries. We'll never know for certain. But here's what we do know. Bruce Lee changed everything. Before Bruce, martial arts in movies were slow, choreographed, unrealistic. After Bruce, every action star had to train in real martial arts. Jackie Chan, Jet Li, Donnie Yen, Jason Statham, Keanu Reeves, they all exist because Bruce proved audiences want real fighting. Before Bruce, Asian men in Hollywood were played as villains or comic relief. After Bruce, there was space, however small, for Asian heroes. Before Bruce, Traditional martial arts masters controlled who could learn their techniques. After Bruce, martial arts schools opened everywhere, teaching everyone. So let's go back to that room in Oakland in 1964. A small martial arts school, a young Chinese man fighting for the right to teach who he wants, what he wants, how he wants. If Bruce loses that fight, he closes his school, probably moves back to Hong Kong in shame, maybe becomes a choreographer or a stuntman. The world never learns who Bruce Lee is. Martial arts movies never evolve. Asian representation in Hollywood stays frozen for decades longer. But Bruce wins. And in winning, he proves something revolutionary. Tradition isn't sacred just because it's old. Innovation beats preservation. Open-mindedness beats closed systems. The traditional masters wanted to keep martial arts secret, exclusive, pure. Bruce wanted to share it, mix it, evolve it. History proved Bruce right. Jeet Kune Do Bruce's martial arts philosophy is now taught worldwide. Mixed martial arts, MMA, the fastest-growing combat sport in the world, is based entirely on Bruce's philosophy. Take what works from every style, throw away what doesn't. Bruce Lee wasn't just a fighter, he was a philosopher warrior. He understood that real martial arts isn't about looking good or preserving tradition, it's about effectiveness, truth. What actually works when someone's trying to hurt you? And he was willing to fight, literally fight to prove it. The fight with Wong Jack Man wasn't just about Bruce's school, it was about the future of martial arts. And Bruce won that fight twice, once with his fists in 1964, and again with his legacy that continues today. Here's what Bruce Lee's Forbidden Fight teaches us. Sometimes you have to fight for the right to innovate, to question tradition, to do things differently. The establishment. Whether it's Kung Fu masters in 1964 or any industry today, always resists change. They say, this is how we've always done it. Who are you to say different? Bruce's answer was simple. I'm someone willing to prove it. Let's fight. And when he won, he didn't gloat. He didn't celebrate. He asked himself, how can I be better? That's the Bruce Lee that Hollywood buried. Not the mystical superhero from movies. The real man. The one who got into street fights as a teenager, who fought a challenge match in a back room, who got rejected by Hollywood and came back a superstar, who died at 32 but left a legacy that grows stronger every year. They tried to stop him in 1964. They failed. They tried to ignore him in Hollywood. He went around them. They tried to erase the story of his real fights. We uncovered it anyway. Bruce Lee proved that one person, standing alone against tradition, against prejudice, against a system that wants them to fail, can change the world. Not through talk, through action. Be water, my friend. But remember, water can cut through stone. If Bruce Lee's real story inspired you, subscribe to discover more untold truths about legends who fought for what they believed in. Like if you believe innovation beats tradition, comment below, what would you fight for? Let's honor Bruce Lee by remembering the warrior, not just the movie star.